Hey everybody, my name is Steven and welcome back to the Storytime channel. Without wasting any time, let's get into our stories of the day. KFC Manager doesn't know her own employees. Alright, this story needs a lot of background info. I work for a McDonald's as a host, meaning I am on the same level as most managers at my location, but I'm usually the one to handle all guest relations, and this story happened just around 2 weeks ago during the virus outbreak, so my position is basically non-existent right now. For this story, it is necessary to know the layout of my McDonald's and the neighboring KFC, so I did my McBest and made this map for you guys. So, because of the virus outbreak, my country has ordered all restaurants to be takeout only, meaning there is absolutely no consuming food on restaurant property. Because of this, my boss ordered some metal fences and blocked off all of our parking places, so guests have to leave immediately after receiving their food. The KFC didn't go to such lengths, but instead just hung up some barrier tape around their parking lot. So because of all this, the eating areas of both restaurants are closed and were only drive-thrus. The next thing you should know is the KFC employees are slow. And I don't mean it takes a bit for your food. No, it takes cars easily 45 minutes to get their order, starting when they enter the line, where it takes us 7 minutes on a bad day. So naturally, they create a massive line of cars out the back of their drive. And for those of you that still have the map open, you'll see how that creates a problem. The road marked A is where 90% of guests come from and is just wide enough for 2 lines of cars, one for a McDonald's and one for KFC. But when the line for KFC becomes too long, it starts to block off the exit road for McDonald's guests, marked B. This creates a traffic jam that can cost us precious time. So we put one of our employees as a traffic guard on that spot to keep the exit open. You got all that? Great. Now it's time for the story. I usually never work on Saturdays because I have something else then, but because everything is canceled, I decided to pick up an extra shift. It was a sunny evening and I was appointed to be the traffic guard that day because, well, my job is to help the guests and we don't have those inside anymore. So I went out and rolled up my sleeves. The only way you could tell I worked at McDonald's was the orange high-vis jacket with a large M on my back. I got my phone and earbuds with me so I could listen to music and podcasts all day. The head of our restaurant doesn't care about that as long as I do my work and it doesn't bother guests. It all went great. People were mostly nice and listened to my instructions. After a while, I noticed one of the cars who had just gotten their KFC food decided to make a right turn out of the KFC drive and onto the taped-off parking lot in front of the KFC. Now, I was also in charge of making sure our guests didn't stop on our property to eat, and I had to tell people to move along a couple of times. But remember, I just worked for McDonald's and my boss was already annoyed that he had to send someone out to fix KFC's traffic jam every day. So he told everyone to only tell guests on our property to move along. So I did. I continued doing what I was doing and left the car on KFC's parking space alone. No less than 2 minutes later, a cop car showed up and noticed the car on the KFC parking lot. 2 cops got out, one of them went over to the car, while the other went over to me. After a couple of steps, he noticed the big M on my back and realized his mistake. He turned around and walked towards the KFC. About 15 minutes later, he walks back out, joins his colleague in the car, who had sent the other car away and drove off. A minute or 5 later, the manager of the KFC came out screaming at me. "What the heck? Why didn't you send that car away? You know it is forbidden for cars to stay on our parking lot." To which I responded with a simple pointing to the logo on my back. Oh, she had none of that and instantly started screaming again. "You're fixing our traffic, so that means you work for us. You were hired to make sure poop like this doesn't happen. And why are you listening to music during work? That is not allowed. You will be fired for this." At this point, I decided to take out my earbuds and try to explain who I work for. "Listen, I don't work for KFC, I work for I was promptly cut off. "Of course you work for KFC. Why else would you be arranging our traffic?" At this point, I got tired of her screaming and took off my high-vis jacket, revealing my white McDonald's management uniform, tie, and my keychain with McDonald's keys connected to a McDonald's-themed keychain holder. I also took out my McDonald's Manager Pass, the one we use for giving employee discounts. It has a big McDonald's logo on it. Not only do I work for McDonald's, I'm the manager there. Just go back and send out one of your own people if you care so much." She was stumped. Her face turned red and she quickly walked back inside. I put the jacket back on and continued my job. I haven't heard or seen her again since. I heard later that the reason she was so mad was because the fine for allowing guests to eat at your establishment can be tens of thousands of euros, and they eventually got a fine of 15,000 euro. I don't even understand how they don't realize they don't work for KFC. If you were in OP situation and the KFC manager started yelling at you, would you have done anything different? If so, what would you have done? Let me know what you would have done in the comments below. Get your own dang spoon. This happened about 2 years ago. Bit of context here. So I used to work in a really big whiskey bar in my town that also catered for dinner and coffee and cake sort of things. I had worked there for a couple of years, so I guess I was recognizable to a few people and maybe some hadn't realized I had moved on. I was really good friends with all the staff in there, so I used to call in for a pint and a chat occasionally. The uniform in the whiskey bar is black shirt or tee and black bottoms. And being a bar person, I happen to wear an awful lot of black on a daily basis, even in my newer job, which is casual dress. So this one evening, I call in for a drink and I'm sitting at the bar waiting for the bartender to finish serving this woman next to me. After about 10 seconds, I realize she's absolutely going out of her way to make life a living heck for her server. She's trying to pay for a bunch of stuff separately, but she wants specific change for each thing, for reasons unknown. And while the guy serving her is doing everything to accommodate her, she creates a new problem with every interaction. Complains that there's too much coins or not enough coins. The cream on the coffee doesn't look nice enough, etc. And gets quite rude and aggressive, sending her server running back and forth. A bit bizarre. The bartender is a chill guy and does his best to meet her requirements and offers the 2 Irish coffees she just ordered on the house by way of apology for not understanding her. She mutters something under her breath along the lines of, "Yeah, dang right," while outwardly expressing her impatience by huffing and tapping her phone loudly on the counter. The bartender serves the drinks and smiles, apologizing again. I'm sitting at the end of the bar near where the sugar, spoons, and milk for the coffee is in my black ensemble. The woman turns to me and just says, "Spoon," without looking at me. "Excuse me?" I reply, taken a bit aback. "Give me a dang spoon," she says right into my face. I look her dead in the eye and responded, "I don't work here." I ordered my beer and she went a marvelous shade of red and scuttled off back into whichever pit she had ascended from. She never got her dang spoon. I don't think she deserves a dang spoon. Grandma gift shopping. I was at Walmart one day a couple years back looking for a new necklace for myself with my husband. As I was browsing, an older woman approached me.
"Pardon me, I know you don't work here, but do you think these would be appropriate for a 13-year-old girl?
She was holding out some cutesy hair clips. I answered, "I think those might be a little young looking for 13. Can you tell me a bit about her?"
"Well, she's adopted from China and is very slight. I'm having trouble finding jewelry that won't look too big on her. She has beautiful black hair, so I thought hair clips might be nice." A lot of Walmart jewelry is statement pieces and bling. It's a problem I have too, being short and slight. She went back to browsing. I found nearby a pale blue cloth flower clip and a slender silver necklace and brought them over to the woman. This shade of blue would look lovely with dark hair. And I thought this necklace was so dainty and pretty it won't look oversized. She brightened, took them from me, and thanked me for helping her. I told her it was my pleasure. I know gift giving can be hard, especially for young teens, so I hope her granddaughter liked her gifts. I'm glad I was able to read this wholesome story today. I appreciated that one. Ew, what smells like dog and vomit? So I never thought I'd have one of these stories, but here I am. CK, Crazy Karen, R, friend from high school, me is me, C1 officer number 1, C2 officer number 2. So I work at an animal hospital. It's small but busy and I love all our furry patients. One day mid-shift my throat hurts. I end up vomiting. I feel like I'm losing my voice and to me it feels like it's summer mid-December. And my scrubs aren't that thick. My boss sends me to the doctors. I go. Find out I have the strep, sinus infection, am running a 101 fever.
Goody. So I went straight to CVS to get the meds. While I'm waiting, I decided to get some shopping done and look around. I stopped to text my boss with the news, and she tells me to rest and not to come back till I go for my follow-up. Her son is around the office a lot and she didn't want him sick. No biggie. Gave me a break from her and her craziness. All of a sudden, I feel someone stabbing me in the arm with their fingers. Are you just gonna stand there? I turn to see this woman. I could smell the perfume pooling off her even with my stuffy nose. I'm so sorry. I moved my very full little mini cart out of the way and she sighs. It's about time. I've been waiting for you to help me for over 20 minutes. I raised a brow and looked behind me, seriously confused, seeing how I'd been standing in that spot for only around 5 to text my boss. Ma'am, I don't work. She grabbed my arm and jerked me to the cereal and shoved a receipt in my face. I want Kellogg's, was all she demanded, glancing at the shelf full of things like Frosted Flakes, Fruit Loops, and many other Kellogg's brand cereal. Ma'am, it's all right here, and again, I don't... Are you stupid? Where? She shoved me to look and I nearly fell, feeling like I was gonna throw up again and getting annoyed because I nearly fell. I headed back to my cart, only to be grabbed again by my arm. Did I say you could leave? Find my cereal. I yanked my arm away and turned to face her and she gives me a disgusted look. Why do you smell like dog and puke? What are you, some slob? Ugh, I can't believe they let people like you on the floor. Get my cereal and be quick about it, now. I hear my name called over the intercom saying my prescription's filled and bite down my comeback and just walk away to my cart. This woman grabs me again and I shove her off me. Don't freaking touch me again. She looks shocked, then angry. How dare you? Give me your manager. I just walk away. I greet the guys at the pharmacy, the cashiers know me. I'm asthmatic and have an iron deficiency, so I get my inhalers and iron here. While chatting and getting the meds together and checking for others, I hear that banshee's voice again. I want her fired and I want her fired now. I turn around and sigh. See this woman with the manager, my friend. Ma'am, she doesn't work here. Then why was she stocking the shelves? He glances at my cart and glances at me, seeing how pale I am and knowing I get sick easily, I can see the wheels turning. Ma'am, she's clearly buying those things. If you have a problem, I can help you, but she doesn't work for me, so I can't fire her. This woman just glances at me and glares at the manager. Then why is she in uniform? I glance down at my navy blue scrubs that resemble more of the cashiers at the pharmacy's uniform than the khaki pants and blue-collared shirt of the rest of the store. I'm thoroughly annoyed now, mainly because all I want to do was go home and sleep this off. Maybe because I work in an animal clinic and you don't pay attention when someone is clearly walking around with a shopping cart. You've been nothing but rude, nasty, and kept putting your hands on me. I never touched you, you hit me. How dare you lie? I didn't lie, and if the manager checks the cameras, it'll show me walking away and you grabbing me not once, not twice, but 3 times. You insulted me because I smell like dog and vomit when, newsflash, I bathed 4 dogs today and threw up twice because I'm sick. Ma'am, I suggest you leave, please, before I have to call the police. I can't have someone harassing my customers. She's lying. I'm calling the police. This is discrimination. She ended up calling the cops while I was ringing up the rest of my shopping, and the manager stood by my car while I drank some OJ waiting. The cops show up and she ended up telling them how the manager and I were apparently a couple and were harassing her when all she went in to do was buy some cereal for her sick kids. The cops pull the manager away and question him. While doing that, this idiot comes walking over to me like she wants something because she called the cops. And with that sing-songy voice of a child that just tattled on a sibling, "You're in for it now, little idiot." Cop number 1 says, "Ma'am, move away from her." Cop number 1 stands by me while cop number 2 follows the manager inside. After about 15 minutes, the second cop comes out and comes right to me. They say, "Ma'am, I'm very sorry for the inconvenience. Would you like to press charges?" "Nah, I want to go home. Am I free to go?" Cop number 2 says, "Of course. You have a nice night." They followed her back to her car, which was double parked and in 2 handicapped spots with no handicapped sticker. When she was handed her tickets, Karen flips out sobbing about how this wasn't right and they were discriminating against a divorced mother. I started up my car and the last thing I saw was Karen being handcuffed after trying to hit one of the officers. I just think this is a dumb lady with no sense of social awareness and a bad overall attitude, but that's pretty apparent. But with that said, that's all the stories we have for today, so what I want to know is which of these stories was your personal favorite and why? Let me know which story it was in the comments below. And thank you all so much for watching and listening to the Storytime channel. If you haven't yet, please consider subscribing and don't forget to turn notifications on so you'll never miss an upcoming video. Thank you all again for watching and listening to the Storytime channel.